As another devastating loss for Lil Durk was OTF Chino. OTF Chino was Lil Durk's manager, and ironically not long before the incident in question, Chino along with Durk had checked in with the Chicago anti-violence organization Rock Your Drop. In fact, Durk even said that he had spoken to Chino a mere 10 minutes before the shocking incident took place.
10 minutes?
10.
You were just on the phone with him and then he gets killed 10 minutes later?
Yeah, because he was in the house laying down, because I was on FaceTime with him. He was in the house laying down. And he called, like, his girl called 10 minutes later.
Apparently, after getting off the phone with Durk, Chino stepped out to get some food from the Stony Sub restaurant at 8440 Stony Island Ave, parking outside the restaurant just before 2 a.m. At this point, according to the police, a man approached the car, opening fire, hitting Chino several times, including one to the head. Chino was driven to the hospital, where he was unfortunately pronounced dead. And while the police found no suspects, the internet detectives on our Chiracology are pretty adamant that 051 Melly at least had something to do with this. Bear in mind, before he died, our old pal Mubu Crump had also been to this restaurant where this went down on IG Live just to disrespect Lil Durk.
Spot, y'all. I just ordered my food. Y'all got that order for Nooski? Chino burger.
As you know, Mubu Crump was shot in a drive-by with 051 Melly, where Melly survived and Crump passed. However, Melly's good luck wouldn't last so long, as he too was shot dead at a party several years later. An incident which was also captured on video, but once again is far too shocking to show you on YouTube. And it was these incidents and videos that caused King Von to famously rap, "Crump was doing all that woofing and he ain't even make it, Melly got shot in the party, started Harlem shaking." After the news of OTF Chino's passing, Lil Durk posted the following heartfelt post on his Instagram. "Rocking my drop chain for Chino and the rest we lost. Your family in my prayers, we're staying strong, still the King of Chicago album, still dropped May the 12th, single on the radio, streets can't stop me, I'm still on my Lil Durk shit." And naturally, Durk would go on to get Chino tattooed on his left shoulder. Now for some years following the deaths of Nooski and Chino, it seemed like Durk had managed to escape the many tragedies associated with the curse on him, as his career and safety seemed to be in a good place for quite some time. And of course, moving to Atlanta was clearly a smart decision for both his career and safety. However, back in Chicago, tragedy was never far, and in 2018, Durk would lose yet another of his close friends, but this time, not to violence, but to drugs. Fredo Santana is a Chicago drill legend, having appeared on numerous songs that sparked the entire Chicago drill movement, and classic bangers like Beef with Lil Durk and Lil Reese, My Lil Nigels with Chief Keef and Reese, and On That with Keith. At one point, Fredo Santana even hilariously threatened to pop the entire Migos, and he even at one point appeared as the villain in Drake's music video for Hold On We're Going Home. Although he's affiliated with Front Street, Dipset and the BDs, Fredo Santana was respected all over the city for his contributions to Chicago drill music. But unfortunately, Fredo was also heavily into prescription drugs, apparently the result of street trauma and what he described as PTSD-like symptoms from having lost so many friends to violence in the streets. And this drug habit would begin catching up with Fredo Santana around March 2017, when he was hospitalized after a seizure. At the time, blaming lack of sleep for the issue, but following the hospitalization, Fredo Santana was diagnosed with epilepsy and given medication, but he would continue to suffer from multiple seizures. And at that point, he stopped seeking medical attention after they would happen. So it didn't take long for him to find himself back in the hospital, this time with kidney and liver failure, posting a picture of XXXTentacion visiting his bedside on Instagram, along with a caption that said, "Been in here since Friday, doctors say I got kidney failure and liver failure, I'm getting back to normal, sorry to all my fans, Turbo Bandana will not be dropping tomorrow due to my health issues. Thanks everybody who prayed for me, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy." Fredo would later reveal that he was found on the floor shaking and bleeding out of his mouth. After this, he tweeted out suggesting that he would be slowing things down and heading to rehab. But sadly, only 3 months after this incident, Fredo Santana would pass away in his own home at the young age of 27. Following this heartbreaking news, Lil Durk took to Twitter, saying he'd lost a lot of friends over the years, but this one really shook him. Durk would later speak on Fredo's passing with DJ Vlad, saying that his death had the entire city of Chicago mourning.
Like, that fucked the whole city up. I just seen like all the love he was getting.
You know, it's hard to imagine that after so much loss, the universe could keep taking from Lil Durk. And while we've now taken a look at every single person that was named in that Curse of Lil Durk video, there's still one big name who isn't in that video. Someone who was very close to Durk, who he lost incredibly recently. I'm of course talking about that final, devastating loss that Durk suffered, King Von. When Lil Durk brought King Von on to the Breakfast Club with him, perhaps it didn't seem that significant at the time, but looking back at that interview with hindsight now is chilling. To me, the most unforgettable moment is where King Von tells Charlemagne about the murder case that he beat, seemingly only making a half-hearted effort to even deny committing the murder.
What's the story? What's your story?
My story shit, I just got out of jail for just beat a body in 2 attempts. Like,
So you was in jail for 2 murders?
yeah, 1 murder and 2 attempts. I just beat.
How you beat that?
What you mean?
I mean, you didn't do it clearly, but I mean, like how? I mean, it's something to throw young black men in jail.
like jury, like, you know,
lawyer.
like, you know, jury, yeah, look, you know.
You gonna
Yeah,
beat it. You gonna beat it if you didn't do it. That's all.
Von essentially beat this case on a technicality. This was due to his co-defendant accidentally spilling the beans and placing himself at the scene, then telling the feds that he was going to snitch on Von before changing his mind and taking all the charges at the last minute. This left Von free to go, and I actually did an entire video breaking down all the details of Von's murder case if you want to go and watch that and learn more. But beyond Von's brazen attitude to crimes that he'd committed in the past, elsewhere in that interview we also got an insightful tidbit from Lil Durk too, where Durk told Charlemagne that he would constantly be on the phone with Von in jail for the 3.5 years that he was waiting for his trial, with Durk essentially saying that he only knew Von from the streets, and that while Von was facing those charges, they never discussed Von being a rapper.
What made you want to sign King Von?
Cause he got a whole story behind him. But know what I'm saying, he just real. Know what I'm saying, his music. I've been with him his whole journey in jail. And I ain't gonna lie, like he ain't never say nothing about rapping.
Durk was definitely a real one for helping his day one brother beat his charges and then help him into the rap game once he got out. And in the months that followed this interview, it seemed like with Durk's help, King Von was going straight to the top. Von was racking up millions of views with his crazy story series and other bangers, but eventually bad vibes would come and knock in for the OTF crew in Atlanta. Because in February 2019, both Von and Durk got into an altercation that was captured on a security camera where they allegedly robbed and shot a man that they already knew.
They say around 5 in the morning on February 5th, Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Derek Banks, and his co-defendant Devontae Bennett were seen on camera involved in shooting Alexander Witherspoon, a person police say they knew.
As a result of this incident and the pending case around it, childhood friends Lil Durk and King Von were legally prohibited from communicating or being around each other.
Isn't you and Durk, your probation or whatever is such that you're not supposed to be associating with other people who are part of the case? So is it like a thing where you're not supposed to be around each other?
Yeah, so yeah, me and Durk, we only see each other like at court, if we got court or some shit.
Now, a lot of people said a lot of strange things around this time. In fact, there was even one chilling YouTube video that was made before King Von passed that suggested Durk was going to sacrifice King Von to get out of this case. Now, for the record, that's obviously cap, but it's definitely creepy when you consider what went down not long after this. Because on the 6th of November 2020, King Von is shot dead outside of an Atlanta nightclub following a hand-to-hand altercation with Savannah rapper Quando Rondo. A fistfight apparently stemming from a budding beef between King Von and Quando's label boss, NBA Youngboy. Anywho, the shooting of King Von was captured in its entirety on that nightclub surveillance camera too, quickly circulating all over the hip-hop community, and for many people becoming front-page news. And if you think about it, the fact that King Von's demise was captured on camera is pretty terrifying, because at this point you can now say that Mubu Crump, 051 Melly, and King Von all had their tragic final moments captured on camera. And considering how much disrespect for the dead seems to arise in these gang-related feuds, you can imagine just how much all of this violence being captured on camera can amplify the devastation for both the deceased party's friends and families, as well as the disrespect that one's enemies are going to pile on using that footage too. After his passing, Lil Durk honored King Von's memory to the fullest, posting a picture of Von on Instagram with the caption, "My twin gone, love you baby bro. D-Roy." And of course, Durk went one step further, putting a picture of King Von on the front cover of his hit album The Voice, along with script saying "Long live grandson," one of King Von's nicknames. Now look, I'm sure a lot of you have got to this point in the video and are fully convinced that Lil Durk is indeed cursed. But there's something really important I want to get across with this video. Lil Durk is not cursed. There ain't no curse. Curses aren't real. People have pointed to this curse before and said Lil Durk needs to be avoided at all costs. But the reality is, when you come from the trenches like Lil Durk and his friends do, your life is likely to be filled with more pain and suffering than the average person. And a lot of comments on that original curse video echo this sentiment and say things like, it's not a curse, it's called being from Chicago, and that's facts. Durk has really been through it in his life. He's probably been through as much pain and suffering as a real soldier fighting in the trenches of armed warfare. But how can we say Lil Durk is cursed if he is still alive, winning, making millions of dollars after over 10 years of hardships? Durk isn't cursed, he's blessed, because he made it through more challenges than I could ever possibly imagine, going through all of that suffering and today becoming a superstar. In 2021, Lil Durk is one of the most streamed musicians on the entire planet, and it fills me to see him winning and shining after everything that he's been through. He truly had to go through hell to get where he is today. And if you're going through it, just know that Lil Durk has been through what you're going through times 100. So when you're feeling like things can't get any worse, throw on some Lil Durk and remember that you can survive anything that life throws at you, coming out the other side stronger, richer, and moving forwards no matter what. That's what Durk and his music are all about, and that is why they call him the Voice.